Hi, welcome to the show. Today, we're going to talk about food. We're going to talk about local food, growing it locally, processing it locally, marketing it locally, and hopefully buying it right here, you and me. So I have with me today two people who are, I would say, pioneers in this. I've got with me Tawna Parker of Grateful Gardens and Beth Rankin of Can Do Real Foods. Thank you so much for being here today.
Thank you
for having us.
Well, let's just go with the big picture. Let's start with you, Beth. Why are you doing what you do? How did this get started?
I read a book by Barbara Kingsolver called Animal Vegetable Miracle. It talked about how she changed her whole family's life by moving to a family farm and eating only what they or their neighbors grew, with some exceptions, coffee and chocolate and stuff like that. And I read it and I gave it to Graham to read. And I said, look, we're not going to grow our own food. We're not farmers. But let's do this as much as we can. And we were living in West Virginia at the time. We got involved with a group of people who were forming a year-round indoor local food market. It was a store, not a farmer's market inside, but a store. And my task, I did many things, but the biggest task was to go out to the farms, meet the farmers, tell their story in words and pictures so the consumers would be educated as to what they were growing and how they were growing it. And whenever I did that, sales in the market would go up. So I really enjoyed. I knew I couldn't do that hard work that farmers do, but I could help them.
So that was the beginning.
That was the beginning.
In Virginia.
In West Virginia.
West Virginia.
So when I got here, I didn't find anything exactly the same. I ended up working for an organic farmer for part of one summer. And yes, it confirmed again that I was not a farmer. But I was very surprised and appalled to see how much of the produce that she had grown was not acceptable for her to sell. And she was putting it into a compost and turning it into green fertilizer, going back into the soil. But after a few days in the sun weeding, it occurred to me that if I got all the legal part taken care of, that she and I could be partners and I could preserve that food to sell to the local market, local consumers, and she would get another income stream and we would reduce food waste. So it was a win-win all the way around. So started last year with her and two other farmers as partners, and it has increased. And I have probably 6 farm partners now, and I have a lot of people who I call backyard gardeners who say they have surplus and give it to me, and we do some kind of trade.
All right. So, not a farmer?
No.
But let's pause your story here and go to our farmer. And we'll get you two together, I understand, here in the story later. But, okay, Tawna, a farmer. Mm-hmm. Let's see, farmer's hands, yes.
Yep, here they are.
So how did you come to getting your hands in the dirt?
Well, I started a few years ago, back in 2012, I started traveling through the WOOF program. It stands for Worldwide Opportunities on Organic Farms, and it's a really awesome work trade program. The work trade on organic farms in exchange for room and board and food, and they have these farms all over the world. And so we started doing it just to travel, and then we decided we really liked farming. And we woofed on a farm here in McMinnville that same year in 2012, and for a lady named Jackie Dole. And it was really awesome, and she told us that she might, want to pass the land off someday because she's in her 70s and everything. And so we worked really hard, and we worked on a lot of other farms before we came out here, doing a full season internship and stuff. And so we came out here because we wanted to really give it a try and see if farming is what, we were wanting to do full-time forever. And we've loved it so far, and we love growing food for the community and for everybody to eat and enjoy.
So you're working Jackie Dole's farm now?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, we lease land from her.
And when you came to this, you were given the use of pasture.
Yeah. Well, we pretty much have full use of most of the farm.
Okay.
She has, but it was pasture that we turned into garden space. We do have chickens and pigs and stuff too on the farm, so those are in, different little pockets everywhere. But yeah, we started out with a pasture. We tilled it. We added a bunch of lime and compost and manure and weeded a lot too, just with hose, getting grass clumps out and stuff. And started in our first season, we started up at the farmer's market, and we have a small CSA also. But working the land is what we're doing, growing pretty much any vegetable you can think of right now.
So you've been at it 2 seasons. This is your second.
This is our second
growing
yeah.
season. So you learned a lot last year?
Yeah, still learning a lot every day.
Tell us about something that you won't do again. What was the wrong vegetable, or what happened?
Well, let's see here. We've had a lot of issues with irrigation, so that's definitely been a big learning lesson. I'd say definitely just trying to get crops in really fast, and bugs would be another big thing. Staying on top of them at the beginning versus at the once you already have a really bad problem. And it's just been interesting, even just knowing when to harvest crops, for the right time for market and stuff, because it might be ready to harvest on Monday, but then market's not till Thursday. So what do you do? So every little thing we're learning every day.
So this year you have maybe a vegetable list, a list of vegetables that is better suited to the land, and also that will have a ready market. And so you've made some adjustments there. Tell us about maybe what's a winner.
Well, tomatoes, of course, are always a pretty good one, heirloom tomatoes. We had really good luck with our melons and eggplants last year. They were really good. And our beans too, because we do some specialty golden wax beans and these dragon langery beans that are purple streaked that are really good. So I think trying to do one thing that's not good to focus a lot of space on is summer squash, because they're so productive and everybody has way more summer squash than they know what to do with, So, yeah, we've definitely honed in a few of those things, I think.
All right. Well, you just said something that I think brings Beth back into the conversation.
Oh,
Yeah.
I
So
knew
much
you were going
more
to pick up on that.
that you know what to do with. So
Right.
tell us your story about.
Well, the squash was a predicament because, everybody knows you lock your car door when you go to church so your neighbor doesn't put their squash in your back of your seat. But summer squash can't be canned. It gets too soggy. And winter squash is most useful if you puree it, but that can't be canned safely. So I could can it as chunks, but then the home consumer would still have to do something with it. My whole task is, how do I produce something that they can just go with? So with the squash, we came up with one answer last year, and we have more answers this year because we've gotten into dehydration as well. One fun way that we discovered we could use the squash was to make a marmalade. Found an Italian recipe that uses courgettes, zucchini essentially, and
I like that.
And with
That gives a
lemon.
lot more class.
Yes,
to
classy if I called it courgette.
Courgette.
Yeah, but it tastes like lemon. That's the taste that comes through because zucchini by itself doesn't have a strong flavor, and that's good. And now we're dehydrating as well, so it will show up in soups. It will show up in snack mixes, and we are changing one of our very successful recipes. It's going to be one of those new and improved things, but we think it will add more nutrition to the loaded pasta sauce without affecting the flavor at all. So we'll be adding some zucchini to that recipe as well.
Okay. So what have you, now you don't call it gleaning when you go to a a farm. You don't often glean.
No, I very seldom glean. My time is better spent in the kitchen doing what needs to be done with the raw stuff, turning it into something safe.
So you're going to the farmer, they've already picked it.
They've picked it.
It's sitting there.
It's sitting there.
And now you make a deal.
Yeah, they have either picked and haven't sold it all, and in a couple days it won't be good to sell anymore, or they might like some carrots that the organic farmer that I worked for had. She preferred to sell beautifully shaped carrots to her customers, but anybody who grows carrots knows that you get these three-legged carrots, carrots that are twined together, and she doesn't sell those. Well,
Well, this
nutritionally, they're just as good.
This might be a good time to go to
Those pictures.
Yeah.
So,
well, let's see.
Well, that's after I got the carrots. You know, when you clean them up, they look just like every other carrot does.
Yeah.
And and then I can use it from that point, and I can, you can switch, and I can.
Next picture, Paul.
I can dehydrate it, and you can switch again. So I can dehydrate it that way for soups, or dehydrate it this way for snack mixes. And we also shred it and then freeze it so we can use it in the other recipes that we can. So that works out well.
And what's the deal you have with, you have a range of deals that you make with different farmers,
Well,
based on the product. And
Right. Well,
tell us how it works.
The farmers that I work with generally are cash poor. And yet I'd like to support them by giving them another income stream. And so they give me their surplus, okay? Either those funny shaped things that they don't want to sell, or the stuff that is prime quality but didn't sell. And then I turn it into a saleable, safe, shelf-safe product, canned or dehydrated, and they get back a significant portion of that. There are some other farmers that I have arrangements with that are also wineries. So their pockets are a little deeper. And in those situations, they tend to pay me for my service. And that helps my cash flow better. The other aspect is when I'm keeping some of the farmer's product, then I go to the market with it. So I'm at the farmer's market as well.
So you take wine from a winery that they don't want to sell.
Right, it
what
may
happens
be
to
a
it?
little old, and their current wine is better quality, and they don't feel that they want to sell that older stuff. As long as it's not turned to vinegar, we can turn it into a jelly. So it's yummy.
So they'll have it back in their
They'll have it back in
tasting
the
room.
tasting room, and their consumers, they get more for it than I do because their consumers have deeper pockets, but that's okay. That's the whole purpose, is to help them get another income stream.
Tawna, back to you. So you have we can hear Beth's passion about this, taking food that's going to be not used and making it good for the farmer, making it good for her. You have some passion around what you do. Can you kind of tell us about why this work is important to you?
Well, I just believe that every person should have the ability to eat really good quality fresh food. And so I think that's where it really starts. And it needs, I am really passionate about making that more accessible and, tending the earth, nurturing the earth instead of killing it with tons of pesticides. We have so many pesticides and chemicals being poured on this earth by all this big agriculture, and then food being shipped all across the country and all across the world, even importing. So anyways, basically it's just, I think it's very important to eat local and to treat the earth well and to help save the bees and provide a haven for them to be able to pollinate and grow. And so that's where a lot of it comes from. And then, when you sit down to dinner at every night, you understand, it's so worth it, the hard work. So.
I'm sorry, I wanted to interject that the consumer wins by buying local food. One huge win is the taste. The local farmers pick the food, the produce, the fruit, the vegetable, when it's ripe and go to market within a day or so. When you buy food at the grocery store, most of the time it is maybe from California, so that's not so far, but maybe from Mexico, maybe beyond, South America, who knows. And a lot of times the produce is picked green and it matures and it ripens, but I'll tell you something, you don't know what it tastes until you eat fresh, picked off the plant food.
Thank you. I think that when we know where our food comes from, we're more connected to the process. It just feels we're in community.
Yeah.
And when I go to the farmer's market, I really feel that. I feel like here's people like you. Now there's a number of other farms that are doing this, basically the same thing you're doing. And there at the farmer's market, you have an incredible choice of local, fresh food. And it's
I know
really...
it's amazing. You can get, a full diet. You can get veggies, of course, fruits. There's meat there. There's honey. There's cheeses even. There's wine, They have flour, heritage flour that you can bake bread with.
There's wool.
There's wool. And many other cool crafts. So it's really amazing because, there's availability to get really good local fresh food. And we even have a market year round here too, that on Saturdays that even throughout the winter, you can get fresh local food. A lot of those, same items. So
people in this area don't realize what a Garden of Eden this is. Where I came from, we were proud that we could convince the restaurants for 1 week during the summer to have what we called a 30-mile meal, and that they would have an appetizer, a main course, and a dessert that's sourced just within 30 miles. I got here and I said, this can be 15 miles here. This is amazing, this area.
Tawna, I wanted to back up. You were talking about not using pesticides. I imagine a few people wondered, well, what does she do with those bugs? Go out and squish them individually?
Yeah, we do. There's some crops. We definitely handpick bugs. Just Monday morning, we spend an hour. I have 3 woofers on my property now that we host.
Really?
And they volunteer and work with us. And the 4 of us were out there for an hour picking cucumber beetles off of all of our melon and squash and cucumber plants. So that's definitely one thing we do. That's not our only method. We use a lot of other different things, like there's a garlic hot pepper spray that you can use. We also, are working towards using more beneficial bugs and insects and plants in the garden. Like ladybugs, of course, you might know, eat aphids, or there's a lot of different like parasitic wasps and stuff that will kill different caterpillars and stuff like that. So, I'm, expanding stuff like that. We do use a little bit of neem oil too, and every once in a while we'll use, if we're having a really serious infestation, we'll use pyrethrum, which is an organic pesticide from mum flowers. It comes from the mum flower, but we try not to use that unless we're having a serious problem, because although it is organic, it does kill good bugs as well as bad bugs. So that's kind of like a last resort type of thing, because we want, we're always trying to encourage life in the garden, and so good flowers too, like marigolds are a really good workhorse in the garden. They, get rid of repel a lot of bugs, and yarrow's another one. And different things like that. And nasturtiums are awesome. They're a great pest deterrent, and then the flowers are edible. So you can add them to your salads, and they're beautiful, and they help repel bugs, so it's really cool if we work with nature, then it could be just so much better. And Yeah.
It sounds complicated. It's a technology that there's a lot of different aspects to. A pesticide spray is pretty simple. I mean, there are a number, and you have to learn how to use them and everything. But this sounds a little bit more complicated, and sounds like you're still experimenting. I mean, what flowers will do
the best
with what bug and what crop, and what crop attracts what bugs. And
I am learning a lot about that. And I mean, even just I went to that Mother Earth News Fair in Albany 2 weeks ago or whatever, around then, and I took an organic pest management class, or one of the workshops there, and I learned a really cool trick. I just tried it for the first time the other day, and so we'll see if it works. But to get rid of leaf miners, sprinkling granulated garlic powder on the soil and actually on the leaves. And garlic is systemic, so it's supposed to, and leaf miners are actually inside of the leaf. It's not like a bug on the outside. So yeah, every day I'm learning a new method.
So the garlic's actually taken up into the plant, and then the bug doesn't like that.
repels the bug, yeah.
Go somewhere else.
Hey, you might start a new taste.
Yeah, I know. I was wondering too if it would
it
make the
absorb
chard.
it.
Seasoned with garlic.
Yeah.
Then they won't buy my garlic salt.
Yeah.
Usually you put garlic on chard, so
You're right,
that's incredible.
Yeah.
All right, well, Beth, back to you. You have how many farmers that you have an arrangement with?
I would say probably at this point about 6,
Okay.
including Tawna.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, she's talked me into doing pickled peppers.
Okay. Have you done that? Are they for sale? Can I get some?
Not yet.
Okay.
There's an approval process. It's part of the whole thing about food safety. So I have made up a batch, not for sale, and a small sample will go to the lab. They will test it for certain things, and then the results of the lab tests will then come back to me, and I will then send them on to a professor, Dr. Daschel, Mark Daschel at OSU in Corvallis. He is the capital P, capital A processing authority. If he says I can do it, I can do it. I also have to register it with the federal government, and then I can really do it. But that's just a few minutes, so that's not a big deal. So it's about a 3-week process to get a recipe approved. It also costs about $150, so it has to be something that I feel will return that.
Yeah. Now, when you say the lab, where's the lab?
Well, there's a few around. The closest, there's a couple in Portland, and there's one in Lake Oswego, and I go to that one because the traffic's a little easier.
And you take it to them.
I take it to them.
What kind of lab? What's their label? What's their business?
Oh, I have no idea what other things they do, but they do a lot of food safety things beyond what I need them to do.
Uh-huh.
And so I know the guy who works on my stuff, that's his area.
Uh-huh.
And they're checking for pH, and they're checking for water activity, and they're working for Brix, or Brie in French. But Brix is the sweetness factor, and even things that you're not even looking for sweetness, they check for that, because it all deals with how the food gets preserved better with certain numbers.
So once it's in the jar with these tests, you can be assured that it's going to it's going to keep.
And of course, I get periodically inspected by the Department of Agriculture here to make sure that my processes and my record keeping shows that I did the processes correctly.
Now, not just anybody can do this at home.
No,
So tell us about the process.
I had to be certified and licensed. So the certification is offered around the country. It's one program, but the different colleges offer it. Basically, OSU is the college that offers it here in Oregon. I missed registering it 2 weeks after they offered it, and they only offer it once a year, but UC Davis offers an online course, so I was able to do it that way. And then licensing, the state licenses you, and you have to pass all these inspections to be able to be licensed.
And where do you do this? Where do you make
I am renting time at the McMinnville Cooperative Ministries kitchen. It's an excellent kitchen. It's huge because it was designed to feed the Saturday morning breakfast. So it's large, and I have amazing space there and a great relationship.
Now, I know both of you are pretty much dawn to dusk folk, and
Probably more.
more. Okay, you start what time?
Oh, I'm probably at it by 7:30,
And you force yourself to quit
at 9:30,
at 9:30.
at night, yeah.
And Tawna, you are up earlier?
Some days, definitely. Not every day, though.
Uh-huh.
So, but we start work at 7. So I'm usually up somewhere between 5 and 6, 15 or something.
And you are young and strong.
Yes. Yeah.
And I'm
I
not
tell
young
my-
and strong, but I'm,
Yeah.
I'm strong.
We tell ourselves, I tell myself I'm young and strong,
Yeah.
so it works.
Well, it was funny. I will say I'd never been so thankful for winter last year for the slowdown.
Wow.
And relaxing, and got to sleep in a little bit this winter and stuff. So it's kind of nice just living with the seasons, and right now it's really crazy and it's summer and the days are long, but you can think about the winter when the days are shorter
It'll come,
and
yeah.
you can relax
Yeah.
a little bit more.
And me, the winter is our test kitchen phase and the time we go to all the conventions and the conferences.
Now, both of you are at Farmers Market. There's the one here in McMinnville on Thursdays from 1 to
6.
1 to 6. And you're at another market?
Yeah, there's one Saturday at the Grange from 10 to 2 every Saturday.
Okay.
And that's a year-round market too. So.
We go there once a month during the winter.
All right. And you have other outlets. You have CSAs. And that's something that you could support more people with?
Yes.
Okay.
Yep, we have spaces to fill.
And
on
I can
that, so.
assure you that Tawna's CSA share is huge. We cook just about every night and we have trouble. I end up putting some of it up because I can't get through it.
You're a customer of Tawna CSA?
Definitely, and this is our second year, yeah.
Wow.
We're happy with it.
Yeah, thank you for supporting us.
That's beautiful.
Yeah, it is. Totally.
Now, also, Tawna, you have other markets. And tell us about those.
Well, not other farmers markets, but
No.
we do sell sell to a few restaurants. We did last season, anyways, to the diner in Barberry, but we're working more with that this year and expanding that a little bit. So we haven't started yet this year because we haven't had enough stuff, but we will be soon. So.
Okay, so that takes some marketing, that takes time.
Yeah, it does take time. I wish I made more time for it, but you have to, put yourself out there and advertise, put signs up, talk to chefs, and make appointments with them and stuff. So.
Can one of your wolf people do that?
Maybe they could. Yeah,
That's part of the technology,
Right?
is
Yeah.
getting it to market.
Yeah.
Well, that's great. You started as a wolf person, and now you have people
Yeah, it's come full circle.
staying with you on that. All right, anything else we haven't covered? What do you want to add? We've
Eat
got it?
local.
Eat local.
Eat-
Not only will it taste better, but your money that you spend stays in the local community. How much better can you do than helping support your local economy?
And just to
And
be
reducing.
specific, stays with you and you?
And me,
Yes.
Yeah.
And supports people working on the farm.
Yeah.
You're supporting these people that are now learning the technology to do what you
it
do.
again.
Yeah.
And reducing the carbon footprint of our food is really important right now too. So it's a win-win from every direction.
Grateful Gardens.
Yep.
Now, is that any reference to Grateful Dead?
It might be.
And can do real
Can
food.
do real food.
And you a play off of canning.
Well, play off of canning, but we are dehydrating now also.
Oh, that's right.
But can do attitude.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, I can see that from both of you. Thank you so much for being here.
Well,
yeah, thank you for
inviting
having us.
Yeah.
Yeah,
And
this has
we're
been
out of
great.
time, but you and I are just going to we're going to keep talking. Okay.
Cool.
So hope you enjoyed the show, and we'll have another great one next week.